Welcome to the State of the Union from Brussels. The most recent inflationary crisis began in 2022 following Russia's large-scale invasion of Ukraine. The harmonized consumer price index rose to a peak of 10.6% in October 2022 in the European Union. In response, the European Central Bank began raising interest rates. 2 years late, inflation in the Eurozone is down to 2.6%, close to the 2% considered the ideal rate. Finally, the ECB made an announcement this week that should bring relief to European families and companies, which have been under pressure due to the high value of their bank payments. The cut in interest rates by 25 basis points was explained by the President as a prudent decision given the risks that still exist.
We are determined to ensure that inflation returns to our 2% medium-term target in a timely manner. We will keep policy rates sufficiently restrictive for as long as necessary to achieve this aim. We will continue to follow a data-dependent and meeting-by-meeting approach to determining the appropriate level and duration of restriction.
Farmer warriors is what participants call themselves in a demonstration this week in Brussels. They are dissatisfied with the recent amendments made to the Common Agricultural Policy to respond to the wave of protests that has been going on for half a year. The protest was called by farming organizations close to the far right, with the speakers belonging to such parties from Poland, Belgium and the Netherlands, for example. Copa Cogeca, the main European Farmers' Federation, did not participate. One of the organizers refused this association.
It's a lie that we have heard now over and over again. We, Farmers Defence Force, an interest organization that has only members as farmers, has organized this protest. So everything you see here, the whole financial business has been organized by us and the 7 other organizations. There is no politics in this protest and there is nothing extreme but the people who lie.
It is essential to produce quality food at a fair price, but also to avoid food waste, which amounts to 20% of what is purchased by consumers. Food waste has a significant environmental impact in terms of land and water use, but also in terms of polluting gas emissions that affect the climate. To discuss solutions, the European Commission organized the European Forum on Consumer Food Waste this week with researchers and other professionals. I had the opportunity to interview one of the experts, Christophe Dickersons, Director of Public Relations at Too Good To Go. It's a social impact company that connects users with partner stores to rescue unsold food and prevent it from going to waste in Europe and North America. Christophe Dickersons, thank you very much for being in the State of the Union. I would start by asking, we have around 20% of food waste in the European Union. What are the main reasons leading to that?
Thank you very much for having me, Isabel. There are diverse reasons for why the food waste numbers are so high. It can be associated to either a mismatch between supply and demand, but at household level itself, an awareness of the meaning of expiry dates, for example, and the fact that some products that carry a best before and not a use-by date can actually be very safely consumed after the date is one of those reasons.
So let's talk about, the tools and solutions to respond to this problem. What are the good examples that you can already mention and ideas that are being put out there?
So the European Commission actually has put a proposal on the table to introduce legally binding food waste reduction targets in the EU. It's currently under negotiation in the EU institutions. At consumer level, it's more about educational campaigns, really finding a new respect for food and also using a bit common sense with certain practices. So learning how to cook with surplus ingredients, for example, having a leftover day, for example.
So we know that 30 million people in Europe are not able to have access in a steady way to a meal. Your organization has a different system using a mobile phone app Can you explain us how does that work in terms of redirecting the food?
When you see some of the best practices that are existing in countries today, you mentioned mobile apps, for example. Mobile apps like ours provide a tool to make food more accessible, because the stores that work with Too Good To Go will offer the food at a discounted price to ensure that it still goes to people rather than to waste. And so in addition to the beneficial impact on the environment, we also try to make the food more accessible for everybody, because in the end, it is good quality food that should not be wasted. If we would consume, instead of wasting a quarter of all the food that is wasted, we would have already enough food in plenty to feed everybody sufficiently, which is a shocking statistic.
Christoph Dirksens, thank you very much for your contributions to the program.
The pleasure was mine. Thank you very much, Isabel.
There is a lot of talk about the Franco-German axis as the driving force of the European Union. These two countries are also important football powers, with Euro Cup 2024 starting next week. With Germany being the host country, Chancellor Olaf Scholz could not miss visiting the national team at the Allianz Arena. But French President Emmanuel Macron also visited the Blues team training in Clairefontaine. Remember that France hosted the Euro Cup in 2016, but in 2020 there was no tournament during the COVID-19 pandemic. The teams would end up facing each other in 2021 with games in different countries. Italy, another heavyweight in European football and politics, was the winner. This concludes our edition. Thanks for watching.